Hello, hello. Welcome back to my show. We don't know what to call it yet, so all suggestions are welcome. I am excited, Boldia. I've also started looking forward. So I'm thrilled to be going live with a dear friend who I've again only ever met on the internet, Shivli. Shivli is a therapist, a sex educator, has been doing some fantastic work in the space of mental and sexual health for the past 6 years now. Shivli is also the founder of Shift Density. Shift Density endeavors to provide mental and sexual health solutions, and they're very inclusive of people from different identity locations. They're anti-caste, they're queer affirmative, and they are also trying to be friendly and inclusive of people who live with physical and psychosocial disabilities. They're doing some great work in this space, and I think is one of the few mental health professionals who view mental and sexual health from a very political lens, and that's super inspiring. I think she's just sent me a request, so I'm gonna add her. We'll show you the tattoo first, and then we'll get into the live. So, yeah. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Did you hear your stellar introduction that I just gave?
Yes, I am actually creating an about page for my website, so I would love for you to contribute.
I should contribute. I think I should write it.
Yep.
Okay. We're tattoo twins, so we have to get into it, right?
One, two,
sorry.
three. Oh.
Wait. One, 2, 3.
Yes.
Bro, that's our tattoo. It's basically Avicii spelled wrong. Both of us were like really big Avicii fans, and when he passed away, we're like, we have to get a tattoo in honor of.
Yes. A lot of people ask me if I'm from DAV after this, though.
Oh, no.
DAV is a school.
Right. Yes.
Hmm.
Tell them what the tattoo means. We also have matching specs, do we? Are we the same?
I think so. We are just like same people doing same things. If we merge into a same person.
Just do that. Like, in shows how like two entities merge and they become like a super entity, we should do that.
Be unstoppable, Apurupa.
Yeah. Do you love
Firstly, I have not done live in so long that I am loving the new format. Let me just say this.
Right? Like there's a proper division, there are like borders and stuff.
Yes.
It's not like merging into your head.
Yep. Okay, so I'll just get into this. This means I am greater than my highs and lows. And no, it's not in any language. If you have read maths, you know, this is mathematics. People ask me which language. I'm just like, are see? But yeah, cool. So let me just say this. I have not prepared anything and I'm ready to talk.
It's a sad show, okay? So we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yes.
And this is a topic that interests both of us a lot. We've had quite a few discussions around the periphery of this subject. So I'll just cut to the chase. What the fuck is sex? What is sex?
Yeah. Okay.
Like
yes.
Or
Let's
like solid riding someone's dick.
Yeah, this is not sex. Or this is not just that's not just sex. Exactly. So see, I think the thing is that when we are talking about sex as a firstly, sex can mean so many things like every other English word. It has so many meanings to it. Sex can refer to your biological sex, which is like if you're born with a certain set of genitals, that is the biological sex or sex assigned at birth. Those are the two terms we use. Then sex can also mean in a more like verb form. It can be the physical act of engaging in intercourse with somebody. And it doesn't, the problem here is that a lot of people think that this is sex, like somebody just like penis inside vagina is sex, which is very heteronormative meaning only boy and girl can be in a relationship and have sex. And normalizing that aspect of it is called like heterosexuality being normalized is called heteronormative. And it's not very inclusive for people. It's not something that which like it, like if you look at our sexuality spectrum, there are so many things that people can actually do with their bodies, like even sexually. So just keeping it to that bit is really sad. Like, what about foreplay? What about kissing? And like, what about every other aspect, which is, yeah. So all of that is sex. Like anything sexual could be then sex. And that could be like a very inclusive and it doesn't need like even a single person doing something sexual like masturbation could be sex. Two people, three people, 10 people, and like people who identify with different genders, people who identify as like non-binary or non-gendered, anybody engaging in a consensual thing, that is the main aspect of it. As long as it is consensual, as long as it is fun and pleasurable, as long as it has active consent to it, that is sex. That like or that is good sex, I can say, or like a healthy or a safe sex. And
something that my mentor Vandita Muraka from One Future Collective said was, this idea that sex without consent can even exist is ridiculous. It's such a paradox. Sex without consent is not, it is assault.
That is abuse.
That's not a thing. And also, like you mentioned how like a person doing something sexual with themselves could also count as sex. I mean, you and I mean, we've had so many conversations about like self-determination and a person choosing what sex means to them. So if wants to masturbate and for them it's not sexual, or if somebody wants to engage in like some kind of penetrative act and for them that is not sexual. A lot of asexual people have what we as allosexual people understand as sex, right? But for them it needed to be sex. It could just be another thing that they're doing, just a way that they're engaging with their body. They needn't even call it that. So like really sex is whatever you say it is. And you mentioned like multiple people, and you, it's also important for us to like in this day and age, especially given the context of a pandemic, also understand that digital sex is valid, whether it's messages or whether it's phone, whether it's on video, all of those are valid as sex as well.
Very much so. And
please.
And I think while we are talking about that, like you were saying, I think a lot of people think that sex, like you were saying, right? Ki sex with consent, and then there is sex without consent. And the sad part is, Apurupa, in my years of working with different schools, a lot of times I get this query, which is coming from a place of innocence, but it's also very scary. And the query is a lot of young teenage, pre-teenage children coming and asking, saying, can we do rape? Or can we, or what is rape? Or not even what is rape, like for them, and I got really, like when I heard it for the first time, I was just like, why, what, and the point is, if you look at this media, if you look at the kind of rapes that is happening and the kind of insensitively the news of a rape is being, put out, it
Yeah.
normalizes uh, it normalizes rape. And a lot of times, while children are growing up, they think having sex is equals to having like engaging in a rape, and that is a very scary thing, and it comes from a space of ignorance or a
Hmm.
space of not understanding and innocence. And if you don't really, as educators, get informed and like actually help them,
Yeah.
then yeah, the terminologies really change, and then the meanings change about it. So
Of
yeah.
course. Of course. No, oh my God, that's scary. And
Yeah.
yeah, people definitely have a lot of misconceptions about sex, and as do we as like older people. You mentioned heteronormativity, just like the language that we use in terms of relationships,
Yeah.
and also like there necessarily has to be like a masculine partner and a feminine partner. There has to be like a
Yeah.
giver. The also like so much kink shaming that happens within our culture, where like if
Yeah.
it's consent, if you want to engage in some kind of pain play, that's not okay. But like domestic violence, oh, we'll just turn our heads and like pretend like it's not happening.
Yeah.
um
That's
which is
very true.
yeah, yeah. So, the next question that I wanted to ask you is penetration then at all required for an act to be sexual? Because a lot of people do live with vaginismus. It's very, very common. Some people may seek some kind of like, since they view it as an issue, they may seek some kind of a treatment and they may want to have penetrative sex. But is it a valid option for people to not want to have penetrative sex ever? Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. See, we live in a day and age where we have so much of advancement with regards to, the kind of medical advancement. If you look at sex as a purpose, right?
Hmm.
Innately, sex has two purpose. One
Hmm.
is pleasure, and the other is reproduction, right? And if you want to have sex to reproduce, then maybe in that case, penetrative aspect of it could be vital, but not necessary, considering we have medical advancement. We can
Yes.
freeze our
Yeah.
eggs, we can do surrogacy, we can even adopt, we can do so many other things to, like, in order to have a child or to reproduce or to have a, a younger one and all those things.
Hmm.
And if you look at sex for pleasure, then definitely it's up to the person, and like it's up to the partners and on how they are engaging with it. So
Hmm.
um like that's the thing, right? If you look at Kama Sutra, if you look at all the beautiful scriptures which talk about sexual acts, there is no mention of, penetration has to happen.
Hmm.
There is no mention of um, even like penises being involved in a lot of sexual acts, you know
Hmm.
to the point being that it came from a space of, you know man has to be there, or um that, penis inside vagina is the only way that it's going to happen, because that is the only way it's going to like work out well with, like, if you look at capitalism and how, and colonialism. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I'm throwing words, but I'm gonna it'll make sense.
No, it's
So
fine. Our audience is woke. It's fine.
yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah, so if you look at India pre-colonialism, before white people came in, and it was such a liberated, free, sexually free country, or at least that's what we know of India. And then you look at all of these different colonial and religious sentiments getting in, wherein people were like, this is the way of prescribed sex, this is how you need to happen, it needs to be a monogamous space, it needs to be like, even if you look at some of the literatures, they talk about how some of the sex positions, even if you're married, are not allowed for you.
Right,
how that is a
right.
sin.
But
So even if you,
for me, or like anal sex was only
it's
recently
prohibited. Yeah, and even for that matter, even oral sex is prohibited.
exactly, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
until 2 years back in India, with Section 377, that
Right.
was a legal crime. So it's ridiculous how we all, as sexual beings, have evolved to enjoy pleasure. If you look at dolphins and humans, are the only two mammals that actually have sex for pleasure. Other all the animals in the mammal kingdom have sex for reproductory purposes. And since we do enjoy sex, then why not, like enjoy different forms of sex? So
Hmm.
that's a very important point for people to know about sex.
That's brilliant. And also you speak of like colonialism and capitalism and this idea of like purity, idea of what is okay, what is not okay. Also like if you're not in a monogamous relationship, you're not like reproducing, you're not
Yeah.
contributing to capitalism, you're not creating these individual spending
Yeah.
units. That's so
And you're
awesome.
not, one of the most ridiculous things I've seen online, and this is a legit thing. I would encourage everybody to go and watch it and like have a laugh at it. There is an actual hymen, not hymen, like first night kit, and
Okay.
that is basically a kind of a numbing cream with a fake blood capsule in it. That like it's an actual product in Amazon and like in places where basically people think that if penetrative sex is the way of having sex, and you
Right.
get married to somebody, and when they have penetrative sex with you in the
You
first
will.
night, so you have to show that you are a virgin, and that and fake blood capsules actually exist, and you have to like
Right.
insert it and wait for
Right.
them to open you up.
Right. 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 And the fact that something like this exists and there is a demand for this um, is very indicative of our understanding of what sex is and what sexual and our relationship with sexuality.
And
You
also
mentioned
how they are taking advantage of these beliefs and selling products out of it. Like,
I can I just be honest? I am glad that a product like this exists because I know that like in many families the woman will be meted out with violence if she were not to bleed um, on the first night. So I
yeah,
mean, yeah, like both sides to it, right? Since you brought up
yeah.
virginity, maybe we discuss that a little bit before we quickly discuss it before we end the live. What is virginity, and how do you test if a person is a virgin or not?
Okay,
I should
so
start with a case. Are you proud of me?
yeah. So virginity, if I can say, it's a social construct. It is not existing medically. So if you look at the medical terms and like biology of a body of somebody with a vagina, is hymen as a hymen is basically a membrane which covers somebody's vaginal canal from getting, like, from getting hurt, from like, it just protects, it's a protective layer. And if the person is like riding a bicycle, doing active work, any which ways, even masturbating, whatever is the aspect, it does break. And a lot of
Hmm.
people don't even have a hymen. Let me also
Hmm.
say that, like, so there is this really amazing talk that I was watching, and it was talking about how hymen is not a seal, but it's more like a rubber band,
Hmm.
which expands. And it's not something, it's not a seal that you break.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
think of people with vagina as a seal that people need to break, that is the idea of virginity in this culture. And that brings about like somehow all the honor of a person gets like it's there.
Yeah.
And if you are supposed, and that's the thing, right? You can see like just of virgin caste and different aspects of like of a society come out and play. Because when you look at virginity, you suddenly think of a person with a vagina, not a person with a penis. You obviously cannot find, but like you won't look, even if you're getting married in a heterosexual manner, you won't look for a virgin boy. You will look for a virgin girl. So all those aspects
Because boys
that
really
happen.
were, not that that's a bad thing, but just like their
Yeah.
personalities are like repellents. No, no, thank you so much for bringing that up, because it is a very gendered idea of purity again, as well. And yeah, like somebody like when I was younger said this to me, that if one key can open multiple locks, it's a master key, right? But if one lock is being opened by any key, like you can open that lock with any key, then it's a faulty lock. So as if to say that, if a female body person, if the person is
Yeah,
in a,
yeah.
yeah, like, so yeah, so unfortunately
So we are
that
locked.
seems to be, yeah, which again like brings us back to this question, right? Like, what is sex? And if that person has not had like penetrative sex in that sense, but like has done other kinds of like sexual acts, whether with themselves or whether with another person, then what is virginity after all? Even
Yeah.
if we were to go, right?
And that's very true. And I want to quickly say this: with sex comes the idea of two extreme emotions, and they are guilt and shame. So if you have been sexual and like you are made feel guilty about it, even if you look at like simple acts of pleasure, even like in a space where in a place like ours, in a country like ours, where even simple pleasures are seen as bad, then sex would be quote unquote ultimate pleasure, and that is also really bad. So with sex comes the idea of extreme guilt, extreme shame, shame related to their bodies, shame related to their acts, what they are doing, shame related to even feeling the need for anything sexual.
Our
So
own
those,
self-worth is, yeah.
yeah, and these are very common things that happen, and I see on a daily basis because I'm a therapist, and I talk about sex and mental health on a daily basis. And one of the aspects of being a therapist is that on a daily basis, I get asked things like, oh, but I'm married. Could I masturbate? Oh, but I think I masturbate a lot. Or, oh, I think my girlfriend is cheating on me because she's thinking of somebody else while she's masturbating or while she's with me. And there are like, of course, these are very what do we say, individual aspects of it, and cannot be generalized. But if you look at the theme of it, it all comes from misinformation and guilt related to sex.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like it'll also make some of our viewers feel a little less alone. And,
Yeah,
and this shame, guilt is not just their burden to carry. It's we've been socialized like that. So
yeah,
thank you for
definitely.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And thank you for speaking to me. This has been
yeah.
great. We must do more work together, obviously. So say yes
Yes.
in front of one so that no backseas.
I will always be happy to do many more work with you,
Yes.
and let's
Do
do
it.
that. Somebody is saying, please save this video. So please
Oh, yeah.
do save the video. Yeah.
Yeah, will be on both our pages.
Yeah, yeah. I'll put up in my page also.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much for this conversation. And
Yeah.
yeah, love you.
Love you. Bye.